Sports Central, presented by Table Mountain Casino.
Cannot see that video enough, right?
Right.
All right, welcome to Bulldog Football Extra, the last 2018 edition of Bulldog Football Extra, as we put a wrap here on the Fresno State football season. As always, joined by Cameron Worrell. Thanks for coming by, Cam, again.
Of course.
Yeah, this will be a lot of fun.
Kind of sad, but excited what we get to talk about that took place in Vegas over the weekend.
I know, it's a little emotional. I've gotten used to spending my Monday evenings with Cam.
Yep.
You know, fun guy to hang out with, let me tell you. All right, the Bulldogs get it done. 31-20 in the Vegas Bowl. Your thoughts on being there, witnessing it, and what this win means for the program?
It means a lot. If you take anything from the excitement and the celebration of Fresno State fans on that Sam Boyd Stadium turf, Fresno State fans are pumped. They came to Vegas hoping to get a win like this over a Pac-12 opponent with a winning record to kind of just put the exclamation point on really a historic Fresno State season. It's exactly what happened. It was a well-played game. Fresno State made much better adjustments coming out of halftime. That was the difference. Ronnie Rivers ran for a career high. It was just a total victory, and really from a tie game at halftime, Fresno State completely shut out and dominated a really good Arizona State football team.
Yeah, they finished the year at 12-2, 12 wins, a new program best, 12 wins. A lot of talk about that after the game. Let's take a look at our game in review, kind of tell you what happened exactly. And these are some old graphics right here. So
that's a good win, too.
Yeah, it was a good win over San Jose State.
Over the rival.
Yeah, I hope not all my graphics are like this from the San Jose State game, but I guess we'll find out. Let's go to Bemis's Ballers and let's check and see if we have the right. Yes, we do. We do. Thankfully, I thought we were going to have a whole show showing information from the San Jose State game. Yeah, Bemis's Ballers. Ronnie Rivers was huge in this game, Cam. 212 rushing yards. Also had a 41-yard punt return, by the way. Added some receiving yards as well. And on defense, we're going to get to it a little bit in our 10 game-changing plays. But Tank Kelly, the 70-yard interception return for a touchdown in the first quarter. Jeff Allison may be playing his final game as a Bulldog. 11 tackles. George Helmuth equaling him with 11 tackles, a couple tackles for losses, as he definitely played his last game as a Bulldog, and what a performer George was. Anything stand out from you, Cam, besides Ronnie Rivers in that game?
Well, really, it was the way that defense played in the second half. I mean, Fresno State turned it over on 3 straight possessions. The DeJounte O'Neal fumble, and then 2, one just sun in the eyes of Micaiah Quick, hot ball that was intercepted, and then an uncharacteristic pick by Marcus McMarion. But Fresno State defensively held Arizona State to 3 points, and they really held them to like 17 yards on those 3 possessions. That first pick was in plus territory, and Arizona State took advantage. That was the difference in the second half. Some great halftime adjustments by Burt Watts, their defensive coordinator, and really gave that offense a chance to get rolling. And it was the Ronnie Rivers show in the second half. He took it over, and got to be excited for that sophomore coming back, hopefully healthy next year going into his junior season.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to imagine what Ronnie Rivers could do with a full season being healthy. All right, let's go to our 10 game-changing plays. A lot of fun plays in this one on Saturday. Out in Vegas, game-changing play number 1, I mentioned it, Tank Kelly puts the Bulldogs up 10-0. A little pick 6 action.
I asked him after the game, was it the route? Was it Manny Wilkins? Was it game plan? He said, we knew Manny Wilkins was going to stare receivers down, and they weren't really going to attack us in the vertical passing game. And Tank is the most aggressive corner probably in the country. For a long portion, led the entire country in passes defended, and is able to take this one to the house. But hey, just using film study to give himself an advantage on game day. Once Manny Wilkins stared down his receiver and took the hand off the ball, Tank was gone. Before that ball was thrown, he was making a break, and great job taking it to the house. That was top 5. That was a top 5 play on SportsCenter's top 10. So it looked nice to see the Dogs get in that top 10 every once in a while.
That little move right there as an SC guy, Fresno State may remember it well, too. It kind of reminded me of Reggie Bush, right, against the Bulldogs, unfortunately.
Yeah, Reggie Bush was running full speed. He hit the brakes and went the opposite direction, but that was very Reggie Bush-like on that return, especially for a cornerback. Reggie Bush did that to a lot of people, but for a cornerback, got to give him a little bit of extra props.
All right, they made it 10-0 Bulldogs in the first quarter, but on the ensuing Arizona State possession, the Sun Devils would get right back in it. Game-changing play number 2, finishing off a 65-yard drive. Kyle Williams on one of those Kansas City Chief type plays.
Yeah, this is like a jet sweep. It's technically a pass because the ball goes forward, but you know, this was a good drive by Arizona State. They looked really good offensively in the first half. They had Fresno State a little bit confused. They were getting out of gaps. You see George Helmuth coming over the top and just running right by Williams and allowing him to cut back. Those are things that they shored up in the second half, but when Arizona State had chances in the first half, they showed you that they had the athletes to take advantage of those chances.
Yeah, so it's 10-7 Bulldogs, late first quarter. Let's get to game-changing play number 3. It's the Sun Devils again after a Bulldog 3-and-out. Ino Benjamin, this guy's a baller, Cam.
He's a stud. He's a sophomore, otherwise he'd be in the NFL draft this season. But, you know, a rare combination of a physical runner but exceptional change of direction skills. I'm excited for that. He ran for 1,600 yards, set an Arizona State single-season rushing record. Hadn't been broken in like 30 years. He's going to ball out next year in the Pac-12, and you know he's going to be a first, second-round pick. He is a special running back.
And you're starting to wonder, is this going to be kind of like Alex Madison of Boise State, you know, pounding it on the Bulldogs all day? It wouldn't be. We would find out in the second half. A little teaser there. But let's move on to game-changing play number 4. Ensuing Bulldog possession this time, they put together a 75-yard drive, and Marcus doing it with his legs.
Yeah, you know, this was one of Marcus's poorest games of the season, but when he needed to make plays with his legs, he was able to do that. Had a big third down conversion in the second half where he picked up 23 yards, and this is just, hey, receivers are covered, I find a crease, I step up in the pocket and see some daylight, and he's able to use that athleticism to score. It's tough sledding against this Arizona State defense in the red zone. Marcus using that athleticism to put 6 points on the board.
All right, let's move along to game-changing play number 5. I hope we're up on Facebook Live. I'm getting some texts saying that the feed is frozen right now, so let's hope we're not just talking to Rick here in the studio, but if we are, Rick's having fun. Rick's having some fun, yeah. Tied at 17 at halftime, and big play here. You thought this might cost the Bulldogs in the long run. DeJounte O'Neal reaching for the pylon, and unfortunately, it goes as a turnover. What do you think, Cam? Do coaches need to start teaching players maybe to stop reaching for the pylon, or what do you think?
I mean, this is just an instinct play, you know, and I said this on the broadcast with Pat Hill and Paul Loeffler. You know, for DeJounte O'Neal to not try and put this ball in the end zone is against everything DeJounte O'Neal has had to do just to get on the field as a Fresno State Bulldog. He has to do everything 100 miles an hour. He has to exceed expectations. He has to be the first guy in the building, the last guy out. That's what has gotten him the opportunity to even play college football. So to try to slow down a kid just trying to make a play, you know, and a lot of times people say, you know, it's a selfish play. They're trying to get the glory of a touchdown. It's just a kid trying to make a positive play for his team. So you could teach that, you could preach it during practice, but for a kid to not instinctually try and put the ball in the end zone would be really, really tough. You just got to secure the ball. Just teach him to secure the ball when they dive out to try to score a touchdown. If he does that, you know, that's a touchdown. Fresno State runs away with this game in the second half.
Yeah, maybe no reaching with one hand is what I'm thinking.
Right.
Because it's just too hard. I mean, when you're going at full speed, that ball can come loose very easily.
Yeah, or make sure you have it secured before you even reach it out with two hands. I think that's what DeJounte kind of struggled with, was he went from carrying the ball to reaching it out and didn't secure it with both hands before he extended, because once he started to extend, that ball left his hands. And I think one of the dumbest rules in football, when you fumble it in the field of play and it goes out of bounds in the end zone, it should just come back to where you fumble it in the field of play. Now, Arizona State recovered that, so that's kind of a moot point, but it's an archaic rule that needs to be changed.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. The Bulldogs defense did force a 3-and-out there, so it didn't cost the Bulldogs. But when the Dogs got it again, the turnovers continued. Marcus McMaryion, who had 3 interceptions all year, with a strange throw here. Did the sun play a factor on this one?
Yeah, I don't think Micaiah Quick saw this ball at all. And this is Marcus, just trying to fit one in a window. It sails on him just a little bit, and Micaiah never saw it. So it was kind of the perfect combination of a receiver looking back into the sun, not seeing the ball thrown, Marcus throwing a hot ball that was a little bit high, and Arizona State was able to take advantage of that. That was really, I wouldn't put that on anybody, just kind of the circumstances, something that happens from time to time. Bad look by Micaiah and kind of a poor ball by Marcus. But if Micaiah just puts his hands up, it's either a first down conversion or, they get to punt the ball away.
Now, the Sun Devils did get a field goal off of that turnover, so they took a 20-17 lead in the third quarter. That gets us to game-changing play number 7. Unfortunately, another interception from Marcus. Now, he was just trying to make a play here. I was getting excited watching this play. Thought it was going to result in something big, but then it was disaster.
It was. I was standing right behind this play and saw Marcus scramble, and he got some pressure right before he threw that ball and just trying to do a little bit too much. You come back on the field, you had just turned the ball over, put your defense in a negative situation. He's just trying to scramble around, like we saw earlier, use his athleticism to make a positive play. He knows that he just has to get rid of this football, throw it away, allow your defense to come on the field, after the special teams punts the ball away and not give Arizona State good field position. Marcus knows better. This is just him trying to make a play, trying to overcome that mistake that he had just made, and unfortunately really compounded that with a big mistake.
Now, I think Herm Edwards then made a big mistake because he had a 4th and 1 from the Bulldog 44, and he decided not to go for it. He eventually took a delay of game and punted with a 3-point lead there. I think that decision is going to come back to haunt him.
For sure. And you have a running back to that point had already had over 100 yards. You have a big offensive line. You have an athletic quarterback in Manny Wilkins. That's a no-brainer. You have to, especially in a bowl game, you're there to win a game. You're not there to play. It's not the NFL playoffs. It's not, week 15 where you're trying to hold on to a lead. This is college football, a bowl game. You're playing a lot of young players. Be aggressive and try to move the chains. If I'm Arizona State, I'm pretty confident that I could get 1 yard against that Fresno State defense with the type of size that they possessed on that offensive line.
Yeah, like you said, it was a bowl game. What do you got to lose, right? Well, the Bulldogs will take it, right? They punted it away, and lo and behold, the Bulldogs then get it, and look what happens next. Ronnie Rivers busting it right up the gut. Big one.
And we talked about this all game long. Arizona State was so aggressive in their man coverage that there were a few times where Ronnie broke through that first line and there was nobody there. This was an extreme example of Arizona State playing a split safety defense, so both safeties went wide at the snap, and great job by Logan Hughes and Christian Cronk on the left side of that offensive line, kind of washing everybody down. And I think we saw the explosive ability that Ronnie Rivers had. We've seen glimpses of it. We saw it a little bit earlier on that 46-yard punt return, but when he gets green space, he can go the distance. And for a kid who told me after the game, no Pac-12 teams gave him any love in recruiting. Nobody thought he could play in the Pac-12. For him to run for 212 against a Pac-12 team was extremely satisfying for him, just as a running back who felt that he had the skill set to do some damage against Pac-12 defenses.
Now, I know if I was running through a hole like that and a big 280-pound defensive tackle got even a breath on me, I would fall down. But you see that Ronnie just run right through that arm tackle there. He's tough.
He is, and he has such a low center of gravity that he's tough to take down. He's kind of a smaller version of Marshawn Lynch. And I say this because Marshawn Lynch was always low to the ground. He always had a wide base. It was always hard to get a really good shot on him because he kept himself low, and that's what Ronnie does. He's already short, so he has an advantage, but he runs that way, and unless you get a clean shot and wrap up, he's really hard to bring down. That's why I'm excited to see him get a healthy offseason under his belt so he can develop that strength a little bit more. He has the explosiveness, he has the elusivity. Now add that strength factor to what he does, and you're talking about a very special running back.
He was already having a huge game, but game-changing play number 9 just kind of put a stamp on his MVP performance. Ronnie Rivers from 5 yards out, running over another DB at the goal line here.
Fresno State had totally taken over this football game at this point. Tempo-wise, being physical at the point of attack. This is an Arizona State defense that was worn down by this Fresno State offensive line and Ronnie Rivers. And this was just the punctuation on top of an excellent day for Ronnie Rivers. Couldn't be more happy for him. Really worked his butt off just to be able to play this year, just to get healthy enough to see the football field, and then plays a big role in that Mountain West title game 2 weeks ago, has a play that will live in Fresno State history.
Yeah.
We'll see that Ronnie Rivers overtime touchdown for as long as Fresno State has football at this university, and to back that up with a career high in rushing yards, even though, as his dad told me after the game, it was 6 yards short of his dad's all-time career high of 218. A special day for a sophomore.
Maybe he got him in all-purpose yards, though. You know, I don't know.
He said all-purpose yards don't matter to running backs. This is about rushing yards. So Ron still has him in that. He probably did get him in all-purpose yards.
Yeah.
We got to take a look at that. But an excellent day for the sophomore.
And by the way, that ASU defensive back, Evan Fields, he isn't exactly small. He was 6'1" and 194 pounds that he ran over there at the goal line. All right. Finally here, game-changing play number 10, our last game-changing play, and it's the one that sealed the victory for the Bulldogs in the Las Vegas Bowl, up 31-20. ASU driving with about, 5 minutes or so left, and there we go. Juju Hughes with the INT.
Yeah, Manny Wilkins trying to extend this play, and really it was a heads-up play by Tank Kelly. You'll see him coming in, on the left side of your screen, coming in right at the end. And Manny Wilkins thought he had time. Tank closed really quickly, and he just kind of threw this one up. Poor ball. Juju Hughes, tips and overthrows, DB's best friends. Juju got an overthrow there, secured it, and the offense went on the field and was able to salt the clock away. But just another big turnover by this Fresno State defense in a season where turnovers, pick sixes, points on defense, or setting up the offense with a situation to score was a big part of that 12-win success this year.
All right, final score 31-20. For the first time in the 97 years, right, of Fresno State football, they have 12 wins, and they're bringing home that Las Vegas Bowl trophy. All right, so that puts a capper on this year. We're now 2 days removed from the final game, so never too early to look ahead to next year. What do we got coming back? Key returners here. On offense, the big question mark, Cam, of course, is going to be the quarterback position. They do have someone who has experience in the program there, Jorge Reyna, the JC transfer, now 2 years in the program, 2 spring balls right under his belt. He'll have a 3rd spring ball under his belt this year. I think he's going to be the favorite. You see the other big names there. Rivers coming back, obviously. Jared Rice, he's been a playmaker all year long at tight end. Darion Grimm at wide receiver will come back for his senior season. And then defensively, you see it, Michael Walker. Cam, you think he's going to be a future star?
He is. He's an NFL player. He's developed so much in one season. Can't wait for him to get a full off season with Jamar Cain and see what he looks like in 2019.
So what do you think? Reyna's going to be the guy? At least they're going to give him the opportunity to win the job?
He's the leader in the clubhouse right now. Now, they still have Sunday to play, right? They still have to get back out there, and he has to prove it in spring ball and in fall camp. But, he's been here for 2 springs. He's now been here for 2 seasons. He fully understands this system, and we saw him play a little bit this year. He's a guy that you're going to see a little bit more downfield action from him. He's a little bit more aggressive than Marcus McMaryion was. He's going to open up a little bit more explosiveness in the passing game. He's a gambler. You see when he keeps it on zone read, he's trying to run people over. So he's going to bring that aggressiveness to that position. But look, Fresno State got a commitment from a junior down at Calabasas, Jaden Casey. He's waiting in the wings. So, I would say not just because Jorge Reyna is probably going to be the best guy for the job, but I think when Jaden Casey comes in, you want to give him an opportunity to win the job as a freshman. So, for all those factors, I expect Jorge Reyna to be the guy, at least to take the first snaps when spring ball and fall camp open up.
And you got another JC guy in Hunter Riquet, right? And you got the freshman, Woolridge and Comstock as well. So they will also, I'm sure, get an opportunity to compete during spring ball and into fall camp. All right, so usually I ask for Cam's keys with regards to the next opponent. Well, here tonight we're going with Cam's keys to a successful 2019 season, Cam.
Yeah, so make it rain, retain, and recruit. So make it rain. Look.
You couldn't make the 3rd word rhyme? Come on, make it rain, retain, and...
I tried.
I don't know.
I tried, but
stay sane.
I'm not that creative. Make it rain, retain, recruit. Look, make it rain. This football program, it's kind of like the Green Bay Packers of college football, right? They're community funded. For this program to take the next step, to get to an elite level, this community is going to have to step up and support this football program. President Castro is going to support this program. Terry Toomey has already said he's going to support the football program, but they need community to support if you want to get to the level where you can beat Boise State every year in the Mountain West Championship. That's really what it's going to take this program and continue to build. Number 2, they have to retain all these assistant coaches, which is a big if. Orlando Steinauer left last year. He's now a head coach up in the CFL. Thought this team would miss him, but Burt Watts stepped in and was an excellent defensive coordinator in his first season. But you have to keep all those pieces around, and I'm sure calls have been made. Some coaches have had conversations, just how it is at Fresno State. This administration, this athletic department, they're going to have to step up a little bit and pay these guys a little bit more if they do want to keep those guys, and then recruit. These are Tim DeRuyter's players, you know, in all honesty, that most of them that Jeff Tedford has won with. You do get Marcus coming in from Oregon State, Ronnie Rivers, Jordan Mims. Some of the younger players have played big roles, but now it's time for this staff to continue to build on the talent that they already have. And they've already gotten Jalen Cropper, you know, one of the biggest local recruits to ever stay and play at Fresno State. And they're starting to put more efforts into that. Early signing day is Wednesday. That's a big day for this program moving forward. They have to continue to build the depth of talent on this roster if they want to do special things. Like, it doesn't get more special than winning more games in your program's history, winning a Mountain West title on Boise State's turf, winning a Las Vegas Bowl, but to now go down to USC and win, to play road games at Utah or Oregon or Oregon State and be competitive in all of those, which is what I think everybody in this valley wants. It's going to take a lot of support from everybody involved to get to that next step, and I think that's what Jeff Tedford wants to do as the head coach of Fresno State.
And you mentioned something that I want to kind of circle back to, supporting the program and supporting those assistant coaches, right? Because I think that also will help to keep Jeff Tedford in town and as the head football coach of Fresno State, because you know every head coach loves to see his guys, you know, being appreciated. And I think opening up the wallets, you know, and paying those assistant coaches, you know, maybe a little bit more of a going rate for a Mountain West championship team will help to keep Jeff Tedford in Fresno.
For sure. Look, Jeff Tedford is extremely satisfied with what his staff, this program has been able to do in year 2. But he has a plan for what he wants to do here. And it's not just win Mountain West championships. It's not just compete with Pac-12 teams. It is to build an infrastructure around this program that can take Fresno State to the top of the Mountain West, to take Fresno State to be on par with some of the Pac-12 or some of the Big 12. That's what his goals are. That's what he wants to accomplish here. If he feels like he doesn't have the support to do that, now those calls that he gets from Oregon or those calls that he gets from Arizona, those are more interesting to him because he feels like he's taken this program as far as it can go. So it's extremely important. If you want Fresno State to continue success, the community has to support that, and I think they will. Seeing that scene in Vegas, I think the fan base here is extremely excited for what the future holds for this Fresno State football program, and I think we're going to see a ton of support this offseason from the administration at Fresno State, from the athletic department, and from fans. Whether it's $5, whether it's $500,000, I think a lot of fans are going to be willing to support because Jeff Tedford has come in and has proven what he can do even before he gets that. So I think fans are excited to see what the next level can look like.
And that support is really being felt by these Bulldog football players. I think both you and I can speak to that and how motivated they were to play in that Las Vegas Bowl. I think some of that had to do with coming back from Boise and seeing the crowd, greeting the buses. And I think they felt like they were really making an impact here in the Central Valley. And they were pumped up to go to Vegas and get that bowl title.
A lot of these players have never had success at Fresno State. You know, some of them were around for some of those early Mountain West title games, but a lot of these players, they haven't seen excitement around this program. They haven't seen the real support that Fresno State faithful, the Red Wave, can give when you win. And I think coming back from Boise after slaying that beast and seeing at, you know, whatever it was, 1:30 in the morning, fans excited, you know, willing to take time out of their busy night to come and greet them, I think it really energizes this team. And they realize what can happen if you continue to have that type of success. So every player I talked to, they were blown away at the support that they had after that game, at the support they had during Vegas. You walk around the Hard Walk over the last week, and it was nothing but Fresno State fans who were excited to see this thing kick off. And I know that the players were so appreciative and really just overwhelmed with what can happen when you win football games here.
All right. They open the season at USC, right, next year with let's say Jorge Reyna is the starting quarterback, a senior who has some experience in the program. What are the chances that this team can go into the Coliseum and upset the Trojans?
They're going to be favored against USC. They're going to go down as favorites. But I think this is going to be a top 20 football team when the season kicks off. And they may get a little disrespect because Marcus McMaryion is gone, but I think the defense that will take the field in 2019 will be better than the defense that took the field in 2018. That's assuming that Jeff Allison comes back and plays middle linebacker.
Yeah, I had him as a question mark on that key returners, along with Mike Bell, although Mike Bell told us last night.
Mike Bell told us he's staying, so we're going to hold him to that.
Yeah.
He took his name out of the draft officially when he told us that he wasn't going. But I think they're going to be favored in that game, and I think this defense is going to be better. And we have seen over the history of Jeff Tedford's coaching career what he can do at the quarterback position. And that's the biggest question mark. Quarterback and receiver going into next season. That's really, the only question mark. So you lose some pieces on the offensive line, but I think they have some really good players waiting to step in. Quarterback and wide receiver, we know Jeff Tedford's history developing quarterback. So I think Jorge Reyna, probably the guy, whoever it is, will be ready to go August 31st in the Coliseum. And I think they're going to be favored going down there to play a Cliff Kingsbury offense, which will just be implemented this year. A lot of factors working in Fresno State's favor right now, just looking at it 8 or 9 months away. But I'm excited about that possibility.
That's a bold statement from Cam right there, that the Bulldogs will be favored in the Coliseum. All right, I'm going to take it one step further. Let's say they beat USC. What are the chances they run the table? Because there's not a lot of non-conference games after that that are scary. I mean, they get Minnesota in Bulldog Stadium. I believe New Mexico State, Sacramento State. They don't get Boise State during the regular season. They're going to play Utah State, which, honestly, Utah State might be the team to beat in the Mountain Division next year, let's be honest. So what are the chances, if they can get that opener at the Coliseum, that they might run the table?
Well, I think the chances are really good. And if they win that game in the Coliseum, I think that Minnesota line will probably be close. They may be favored every other game. They may be favored for the remaining 11 games. Sac State's at home. They go on the road to play New Mexico State. Very winnable games. You play Utah State. You play Colorado State, who is a little bit down. I don't see how they're not favored in most of those games. So there's a very good chance if they win that one at SC that we could be talking about a 12-0 Fresno State football game hosting a Mountain West title, potentially to get to that Fiesta Bowl that they were one half away from getting to this year. I'm already excited. Talking about, I hadn't even thought about the fact that if they beat SC, hey, they might be favored in every other game. They might be favored in every game next year, but that's a real possibility for them to run the table as long as they don't stumble. One poor performance could kind of derail that, but as long as they continue to do what they've done to win 10 and then 12 games in the first 2 seasons under Jeff Tedford, you're talking about a team that will be poised to make that type of a run.
And we'll see what ends up happening with the recruiting class. It looks like it's building a lot of momentum right now, especially with some of the local guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad I rolled on this so I can play these back when the Bulldogs do upset USC. We can say, hey, Cam predicted that they would be favored over my Trojans, right? Yeah, that's all right. It's a downtime for SC football right now. So
we just keep them down August 31st, and after that, hopefully they win the rest of their games, win the Pac-12, and that's a really quality win for Fresno State.
My 2 favorite teams now, the Trojans and the Bulldogs. I'm not necessarily saying in that order either. So right now, I'm loving the Bulldogs. So, hey, Cam, this was fun. All year long. Hopefully we'll be able to continue to do it next year as well, and continue to watch the Bulldog Insider. I'm sure Cam will pop up from time to time during the offseason, maybe when spring football rolls around, and it's a blast. Just keep it here, KC24. It's your Bulldog station, and thanks for tuning in and watching this edition of Bulldog Football Extra. We'll see you.